彼女は白く揺らめいて消えていった。まるでおぼろな湯煙のように。
Number 20, To Loveru.
なんだお前は。私ララ。
Despite its name, there's more steam than romance in the air of this anime. Although at first glance it doesn't seem to stray too far away from the normal harem setup. Rito is just an everyman high schooler who can't seem to get the attention of the opposite sex. So it's lucky for him when a scantily clad alien princess arrives on Earth and decides to marry him. From there, Rito falls into the center of a messy love square, complete with enough unintentional groping to last a lifetime. These sensual gags and frequent fan service aren't the end of it either. Let's just say these girls aren't afraid to really bear it all for Rito's affection.
キスして春菜ちゃん、ゆうきくん。
Number 19, why the hell are you here, teacher?
俺の静かなオアシスだったのに。じゃあなぜここに先生が。
At this school, class isn't out of session when the bell rings. Instead, a few choice students get some up-close and personal after-school tutoring. Suffice it to say, it goes a bit beyond the district's recommended extracurriculars. Pretty much the whole show consists of gangly teen boys stumbling upon their teachers in increasingly compromising positions. The hijinks continue until, eventually, the pair abandon their inhibitions and their clothes.
しまった。
Even more, there's a whole collection of students who can't seem to escape the erotic influence of their teachers. So, just when you think you reach the end of one seductive romance, a substitute teacher enrolls ready to start the cycle all over again.
あったかい。
Number 18, So I Can't Play H.
いやー、変態。なんなんですのお姉様のパートナー。
Fair warning, there's plenty of overt fan service ahead, and even a few uncensored scenes here and there, but at least it all serves a genuine narrative purpose. In something of a literal deal with the devil, the Grim Reaper Lisara feeds off the sexual energy of the teenaged Ryosuke. As expected, he has quite a lot of it too.
いえ、大きいおっぱい大好きです。
To be fair, there is a surprisingly in-depth story unfolding. However, since the villains are slimy tentacle monsters, you can imagine how most fights go down. All in all, So I Can't Play H definitely has a lot of NSFW moments, but at least it's not shy about it.
俺リサラじゃない。
そういうことよ。
Number 17, Uzaki-chan wants to hang out.
ところで二人はどこまで行ったの？エッチなことした？
Against all odds, the premise here is blissfully innocent. Hana simply wants to bring Shinichi out of his introverted shell, so they hang out, talk about life, and slowly develop romantic feelings for each other. But this is not a family-friendly rom-com, and most of that comes from its presentation. Namely that Hana is distractingly well endowed.
一人焼肉や一人回転寿司に匹敵するボチプレイの最たるものの一つじゃないですか。
ちょっと一回黙れ。
Which is hard to miss since Shinichi usually ends up accidentally fondling her. The show suggests a lot more than it actually shows, but the highly dedicated voice work still paints a clear enough picture. So despite its harmless setup, Uzaki-chan should only be watched with headphones.
てかやるかなんか怖っ。
Number 16, How heavy are the dumbbells you lift?
おいソリュイ、適当な理由つけてさっさと帰ろうぜ。
For taking place in a gym, this show sure has a lot of eye candy. On its own, it's nothing new, but few anime out there deliver as many gratuitous camera angles as this one. But how Heavy pulls it off because of its inventive setting. It justifies the shamelessly suggestive content with a heartfelt story about working out.
あれ綾香、お前腹筋すげえな。
あ、そうか。別に大したトレーニングはしてないけどな。
Sure, it's a show with quite a lot of dynamic stretching scenes, but it's an earnest one nonetheless. The series doesn't pick a lane either. There's something for just about anyone. Beefcakes, blondies, bosoms, and beyond. Plus, there's no shame in watching it, since it's all in the name of a good workout.
よっしゃ、じゃあ次はダッシュトレーニングでもするか。賛成。
Number 15, do you love your mom and her two-hit multi-target attacks?
それじゃあお母さんも剣をお借りしようかしら。
母さん
よいしょ。
This show's title is kind of a trick question, because if Masato really loved his mother, he wouldn't let her get away with starring in an anime like this. In his defense, there's some other world where this is a charming slice of life about a mother and son reconnecting, but that's 100% not the case in this one.
よいしょっと。これからお母さんと一緒にたくさん冒険しましょうね、マー君。
Instead, Mamoko's magic stat isn't the only thing absurdly large in this video game world. Her skimpy wardrobe only further accentuates her ridiculously busty features, especially since the plot routinely thrusts her into some rather questionable positions. When it comes to shows about families that aren't actually family friendly, this one takes the mother load.
マー君からのプレゼント大事にするわね。
Number 14, Kill la Kill.
陣やっとカムイ準決。
It may sound counterintuitive, but in order to suit up, these ladies have to drop true. Their overpowered kamui armor runs on their blood, meaning the sentient tech has to get real snug to activate. Except when it's finally set up, the quote-unquote armor doesn't actually cover that much at all.
この桐生にさつき、我が野望成就のためならば天下に乳房を晒そうと恥もなければひるみもない。我が行動に一点の曇りなし。
That, when paired with the show's slick animation, means it fully commits to the realistic physics of body parts in action. That's just Kill la Kill though. From its first opening credits to the final episode, it delivers both bloody action and unapologetic fanservice at the same time, usually in the very same scene.
マトイ一心が作った極征服を上回る力を持った服だ。桐生にさつきと対抗できるのはそれを着こなせる者だけだ。
あんた何者だ。
Number 13, maken-ki.
いいよいいよ言っちゃって言っちゃっておい何すんだよ
The standard curriculum at Tenby Academy includes mastering magical abilities, bonding with the staff, and fitting in as many gratuitous chest shots as possible. So it didn't take too much convincing to get the perverted Takaru to enroll, especially since the formerly all-girl school has a very favorable guy-to-gal ratio. That part becomes especially obvious when the whole student body lines up to get a piece of him.
大丈夫ハルネ
平気。タケル、久しぶり。
As the childhood best friend, the edgy tsundere, and the hopeless romantic, all of whom spend about as much time out of uniform as in it. With all these, distractions, it's a wonder how anyone gets any schoolwork done at all.
ジャパンイズビューティフルや。
誠絶景でございます
Number 12, Sekirei.
You saw it, didn't you?
What?
My right boob! I really wasn't looking, but maybe just a quick glance.
After a series of personal failures, the downtrodden Minato is left looking for a new direction in life. So when the mysterious and rather busty Musubi falls from the sky, he decides to help her unlock her magical abilities.
ありがとうございますすみません
The only thing is that this contract isn't bound with a signature, it's sealed with a kiss. From there, the two compete against other Sekirei pairs, who, predictably, are just cute girls with similarly minimalist taste in clothes. The actual fights just feel like an excuse for the bulbous ladies to get up in each other's business. And given how many Sekirei there are, it tends to happen on a pretty regular basis too.
I've become reliant on the wind that blows from you. It's strong, but also pleasant.
Number 11, Monogatari Series.
どうか私のノーブラおっぱいをもみもみしてくださいお願いします
Koyomi's quest to help others afflicted by the supernatural is as honorable as it comes. After all, it's not his fault that most of them are single girls with a serious thing for white knights. Sure, he fits the bill a bit too well, but he does rebuke most of their advances. That hasn't stopped them from trying though, and occasionally Koyomi's services get repaid in some less than PG ways.
やべえ喘ぎ声にも似た彼の声を聞いてるとすげえ変な気持ちになる
But even if it didn't have any of those steamy moments, there'd still be plenty of sensual close-ups to go around. In fact, the series already filled 10 years of anime with its paranormal vulgarity, so there's no reason to believe it can't do it again someday.
あなたが荒木くんと付き合える理由が分かった気がする
Number 10, High School of the Dead. The dead aren't the only thing rising in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. Rather, it seems that even amidst zombie hordes, these teens still have quite the active sex drive. That's simply the only way to explain why these girls insist upon tearing through enemies without anything to cover their nether regions. Although, in a way, it makes sense that so much of the action focuses on the female characters. They do have a lot more assets to protect, and some of them are pretty big targets too. Honestly, it's just impressive that High School of the Dead made a zombie apocalypse feel like the tamest part of its concept.
生きている限り僕はお前に憧れ続けてやるお前を最高の女だと信じ抜いてやるだから死ぬな
Number 9, Food Wars Shokugeki no Soma.
その
This recipe skips the appetizers, throws out the main course, and goes straight to dessert, which in this case is a heaping serving of cheesecake. It's a steamy dish that gets served in almost every episode, and yet, critics haven't tired of the taste just yet.
噛みしめるたびにじっくり焼かれたベーコンの香ばしい肉汁がたっぷりと溢れてくる
Maybe that's because the curvy chefs aren't even the biggest offenders of the show's salacious leanings. No, that honor belongs to its signature foodgasms, which come with vocal performances that could easily belong in a very different kind of adult animation. At a certain point, it's hard to tell what's steamier, the actual dishes or the reactions of those eating it.
締めと行こうぜそんなもんうまいに決まっとる
Number 8, Heaven's Lost Property.
Oh no! It's a person! No, it's not a person. A person doesn't have wings!
Most harem protagonists would be content having a scantily clad angel at their beck and call. Not Tomoki though. When Ikaros falls from the sky, he decides to use the angel's powers for some downright sinful fantasies. Since the poor girl completely indulges Tomoki's actions, his naughty hijinks became about as important as the actual story at hand.
Sora, it's not what it looks like, I swear. I'm just trying to get this stupid chain off, look!
In fact, there may never be another anime where underwear plays such a pivotal role in the plot. The scary part is that Tomoki's desire for female undergarments is actually one of his tamer wishes. Clearly, she isn't the only thing lost around here. Tomoki's moral compass is also missing in action, and something tells us it might be gone for good.
Holy crap! You gotta help! What do I do with... My god, I'm so wet!
Number 7. How not to summon a demon lord. For someone who doesn't know how to act around women, Takuma sure found himself surrounded by a lot of them. And as if that didn't make him nervous enough, a mistaken summoning spell turned 2 of them into his sworn servants. As a result, there's a whole lot of unintentional groping going on, and you can't even blame it on Takuma's clumsiness.
なんだこの未知の感触は
Rem and Shira's endowments are just too big to miss. And yet, despite the clear sorcery afoot, there's no spell to save Takuma from having to get real handsy with some girls. Even if he doesn't care for it, he'll still come away from it with an expertise in female anatomy.
やばい魔王だ魔王ロープで威厳を保って堂々と
Number 6. Chivalry of a Failed Knight.
じゃちょっとリクト覚悟なさいあんたみたいな変態痴漢無礼のスリーアウト平民はこの私が直々に消し済みにしてあげるわ
At the very least, this show wastes no time making its intention clear. In one of the very first scenes of the very first episode, a guy walks in on a girl changing and then proceeds to strip himself. Yes, there's an occasional hype fight scene and heartwarming moments, but the most memorable bits are seeing just how far Iki and Stella will take their relationship. Turns out it's pretty far.
いいえ、私が待てなかったのです。お兄様。
Without getting into too much graphic detail, there's a lot of skin, a lot of steam, and a scene in a log cabin that nearly goes all the way. Not quite what most of us would call chivalry, that's for sure.
お兄さん真面目なのねでもそういうのも素敵私も狙ってみちゃおうかな
Number 5. The Testament of Sister New Devil.
再会からいきなりキスシーンってわけ
いやこれは
成瀬さん
Perverted teenager? Check. Girls with back-breaking endowments? Check. Lots of close calls around private parts? Check, check, and also check. Oh, and to top it all off, the 3 main characters are all supernatural beings and step-siblings. Yeah, it's a bit staggering just how many boxes this one ticks. So when their father leaves the 3 leads unsupervised for months on end, it's no wonder things get very racy very fast.
誰にも奪わせたくないならもう一度ちゃんと私を奪ってバサラ？
None of it is glossed over with innuendo either. No, this is the kind of content that needs censor bars to air on broadcast TV. Although, even that probably wouldn't be enough to save this show from a hard R rating.
教師と生徒だぞ
先生が嫌ならやめます
ずるいなお前は
Number 4. Shimoneta. A boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist.
さあ健全で退屈な下ネタなんて概念が存在しないこの世界に別れを告げなさいここから先はとっても刺激的よ
In a world where indulging in anything erotic is considered a capital crime, a group of enthusiasts decide to rebel in the only way they know how, by stripping down and getting freaky. And since they've been holding back for so long, they have quite a bit of pent-up energy to get out. In fact, the story goes out of its way to justify a never-ending slew of creatively bawdy set pieces. Shimoneta's commitment to the bit is admirable, but still, some of the stuff the show gets away with is pretty insane. It's full of untoward behavior that would earn you some stares, even if you weren't in an anime dystopia. Number 3, High School DD. This time around, the devil is actually in the details, mainly because there are a whole bunch of real ones flying around, and their school uniforms don't leave much to the imagination. There's not much in the way of censoring or tasteful framing either. Nope. The whole thing is on full display all day, every day. It's hard to say if more fabric would even help, since most of the gals end up blowing their clothes during fight scenes anyways. Sometimes because of battle damage, sometimes just for the heck of it. And don't even ask about Issei's powers. Let's just say he managed to turn the devilish circumstance into his own personal heaven. Number 2, Interspecies Reviewers. Even the raunchiest anime acknowledge the thin line between explicit and gratuitous. Interspecies Reviewers doesn't just cross that line, it pretends it doesn't even exist. Sure, no one expected the sexual exploits of succubi to be kid-friendly, but there's some straight-up X-rated moments in these episodes. However, the biggest testament to its inappropriate content is that it barely saw the light of day.
全員初顔のようだね。うちの店は初回登録料が必須でね。
Its Japanese broadcast had to shuffle between networks just to finish airing its season. That's getting off easy compared to the English dub, which was cancelled after just one episode due to brand safety concerns. If that doesn't prove its spiciness, nothing will. Number 1, Prison School.
次また外に出れたりとかって。
それはお前の働き次第だ。
Criminal justice has never been so, well, criminal. Although since Kiyoshi and his pervy friends are all gigantic masochists, this scholarly confinement is something of a wet dream for them. So fittingly, their breakout attempts cover just about every obscene proclivity under the sun. There's leather, busty wardens, and some very inventive uses for crap in your pants, among so many others. See, the beauty of Prison School isn't just that it's shamelessly lewd, but that it's erotic in some of the most ludicrously creative ways we've ever seen in anime, or really, fiction at all. By the time all is said and done, you'll feel like you belong behind bars too, just for watching. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.